Congratulations! Out of 8 billion humans alive on Earth, you have been selected. The psychological evaluations, the medical screenings, the years of training, the brutal selection process that eliminated thousands of other candidates. You survived all of it, and now, for the first time in human history, you are going to do something no person has ever done. You are going to live on another planet. Take a moment with that, really let it land. You are a Martian, a pioneer, the kind of person who gets a chapter in history books, the kind written thousands of years from now, when Mars is a thriving world and school children learn your name the way we learn the names of the first sailors who crossed open ocean. You are at the beginning of something enormous. Unfortunately, you are also about to begin one of the hardest lives any human being has ever lived. No breathable air outside your habitat. Ever. Not for a few minutes. Not with a quick dash between buildings. Never. Without a full pressure suit. Without life support. Without technology keeping you alive every single second. No emergency rescue if something goes wrong. No hospital with a surgical team and an MRI machine. No rain, no rivers, no oceans, no trees, no birds, no insects, no natural ecosystem of any kind. No walking outside on a summer evening. No smell of grass after rain. No sound of wind through leaves. And Earth, the only planet that has ever supported human life, the only home your species has ever known, is, on a good day, 55 million kilometers away. On a bad day, over 400 million. If something goes wrong, Earth cannot help you in time. This is what you signed up for. Let's talk about why first, because the impulse to go to Mars is not irrational. It's one of the most human things imaginable. And understanding the dream makes the reality hit harder. Mars has captured human imagination for centuries. The red planet. The closest world that looks from a distance like it could be something. It has a surface. It has seasons. It has a day that lasts almost exactly as long as Earth's, 24 hours and 37 minutes. It has polar ice caps. It has ancient riverbeds and canyon systems that dwarf anything on Earth, including Valles Marineris. A canyon so vast that if you dropped it on North America, it would stretch coast to coast. There is geological history here. There is a world that billions of years ago may have had liquid water on its surface, a thicker atmosphere, and perhaps even something resembling habitability. For humanity, Mars represents the most important question we could possibly answer. Can we become more than a one-planet species? Every civilization in human history has existed on a single world. Every person who has ever lived, every culture, every library, every piece of art and music and accumulated knowledge, all of it has existed on one pale blue dot. If something catastrophic happened to Earth, a large enough asteroid impact, a supervolcano, a pandemic of unprecedented scale, that would be the end of everything. All of it. No backup, no second copy, no continuation. Mars is the backup. Mars is the insurance policy. Mars is the answer to the quiet existential terror of being everything on one fragile rock. That's why people go. That's why people volunteer for this. That's why you raised your hand. Now let's talk about what happens after you raise your hand. The journey alone is enough to break most people. The trip to Mars takes somewhere between 6 and 9 months, depending on the orbital alignment of the two planets. You can only launch during certain windows when Earth and Mars are positioned favorably, and those windows occur roughly every 26 months. Miss the window and you're waiting another 2 years. Hit the window and you're spending the better part of a year inside a spacecraft roughly the size of a large apartment with however many crewmates you've been assigned. Going nowhere, you can step outside. The living quarters on any realistic Mars transfer vehicle will be cramped. Not uncomfortable hotel room cramped, submarine cramped. The kind of cramped where you learn every sound your crewmates make when they sleep, where privacy becomes a psychological luxury you ration carefully, where the same ceiling is above you every morning for months. There is no fresh air in any meaningful sense. The air is recycled, filtered, chemically maintained. There is no natural light. The sun shrinks behind you as you travel until it's just a very bright star, and the darkness outside is absolute in a way that no place on Earth ever is. And the whole time, the radiation is hitting you. This is one of the most underappreciated dangers of Mars missions. Earth has 2 layers of protection against cosmic radiation: a global magnetic field generated by its molten iron core and a thick atmosphere. Between them, they absorb or deflect the vast majority of the high-energy particles streaming out from the sun and from deep space. Over a 6 to 9 month trip, a Mars-bound astronaut absorbs a radiation dose estimated at anywhere from 300 to 600 millisieverts. For context, the annual limit for radiation workers on Earth is typically set around 20 millisieverts. The long-term consequences include elevated lifetime cancer risk. They can include potential neurological damage demonstrated by changes in brain structure and cognitive function after extended spaceflight. There are cardiovascular effects that are not yet fully understood because we have not sent enough people far enough for long enough to get reliable statistics. You arrive on Mars already having taken a dose that would alarm radiation safety officers back home. You arrive potentially cognitively subtly different from when you left. You arrive into an environment where the radiation exposure does not stop but simply changes character. Mars has no global magnetic field. Its atmosphere is about 95% carbon dioxide and less than 1% the pressure of Earth's. That atmosphere provides almost no radiation shielding. Solar events that Earth barely notices behind its magnetic umbrella can be genuinely dangerous on the Martian surface. Colonists will need to retreat into shielded bunkers during major solar events. The habitat itself will need to be built with radiation shielding in mind, which on Mars likely means burying structures under meters of regolith. The Martian soil is its own special problem. Martian dust is everywhere, and it is awful. The particles are extremely fine, closer in scale to talcum powder, and they are electrostatic, meaning they cling to everything. They cling to spacesuits, to visors, to solar panels, to instruments, and they get into mechanical joints and grind them down. For humans, any breach in the habitat seal means Martian dust gets inside, and it may contain perchlorates toxic to the human thyroid. You cannot just sweep it out and forget about it. You maintain vigilance against it every single day. That rhythm, the vigilance maintenance and constant awareness that the environment wants to kill you, is what life on Mars actually looks like. Not exploration in the romantic sense, but maintenance system. Checks repairs and monitoring. A life lived in intimate relationship with the machines keeping you breathing. Your oxygen comes from a system that must be functional at all times, and if it fails and you do not fix it, you die within hours. Your water comes from a recycling system that processes every molecule of moisture in the habitat, including breath and sweat. Every liter is precious, and every liter requires energy to process, representing a system that must not fail. Your food comes from hydroponic systems, with plants growing under artificial lighting inside the habitat, supplemented by packaged provisions. The diet will be monotonous in ways that are hard to overstate, and you will eat the same things grown and prepared the same ways for years. The psychological effect of food monotony is well documented from Antarctic stations and submarines, and it is a genuine morale problem. There is no hospital on Mars, and there is no surgeon standing by. If a colonist develops appendicitis, the options are limited to mission equipment and crew surgical training guided by specialists on Earth. Specialists on Earth communicate with delays between 4 and 24 minutes each way, depending on orbital positions. You describe symptoms, and you wait 4 to 24 minutes for a response and then wait again for follow-up. Real-time communication with Earth is not possible from Mars because the speed of light makes it physically impossible. During a medical emergency, during a habitat crisis, during any situation where seconds matter, Earth cannot help you in the moment. The decisions have to be made by the people in the room, with the knowledge and equipment they have in real time. The mission carries as much medical capability as it can, and the crew receives extensive training, but no amount of training fully compensates for the absence of a specialist, a full surgical suite, and decades of accumulated medical infrastructure. A dental abscess becomes a serious situation. A broken bone is a major event. An infection that an emergency room on Earth would clear up with a course of antibiotics becomes, on Mars, a problem that consumes significant mission resources and crew attention and carries real risk of becoming life-threatening. This is not pessimism. This is the honest reality that mission planners think about constantly. But the physical challenges, as severe as they are, may not be the hardest part. The hardest part may be what happens inside your head. You came from a planet of 8 billion people, of cities and wilderness and social connection and an infinite variety of human experience. You now live in a habitat the size of a few shipping containers with a handful of other people who you see every single day, with whom you share every meal and every crisis and every moment of boredom and every argument, from whom there is nowhere to retreat, no other social world to escape into. The communication delay means that real conversations with family and friends on Earth are not possible. You can send messages. They send messages back. The rhythm of exchange is like letters. You write, you wait, you receive, you wait again. The spontaneity of a phone call, the comfort of hearing someone's voice respond to what you just said, the ability to call your mother when something goes wrong and have her answer, those things are gone. The people you love are accessible only as recordings, as delayed responses, as voices from across the solar system that cannot reach you in the moment you need them most. At night, if you press your face to a small viewport and look at the sky, you can see Earth. It's a bright bluish dot. Sometimes you can see the moon near it. The two of them together, hanging in the black Martian sky, close enough to see and far enough away to be unreachable. That image, your home, visible as a point of light, is reported by astronauts on the International Space Station, which is a mere 400 kilometers up, as unexpectedly emotional. What it does to a person who is genuinely, permanently millions of kilometers away and who may never go back is something we don't yet have good data on, because no one has ever done this before. We have Antarctic researchers who spend winters isolated at the bottom of the world. We have submarine crews who disappear beneath the ocean for months. We have space station crews who spend 6 months to a year in microgravity. All of these are useful reference points. None of them are Mars. None of them involve being this far away for this long, with this little possibility of emergency return in an environment this genuinely hostile, with this much uncertainty about what the long-term consequences to the body will even be. The first-wave Martian colonists will be pioneers in a very old sense of the word, not the romantic sense, the brutal, unsentimental, historical sense, the Jamestown settlers, the first people to winter in Antarctica, sailors on the first ships to cross open ocean without knowing if they'd fall off the edge. People who went somewhere unknown and hard and dangerous because someone had to go first, and they were the ones willing to do it. Many of them may never come back. Not because missions will end in disaster, hopefully they won't, but because returning to Earth after years in Mars's 38% gravity and then spending months in zero gravity transit and then re-entering Earth's full gravity is an enormous physical ordeal. The longer you stay on Mars, the harder return becomes. The body adapts, bones thin, muscles restructure, cardiovascular systems recalibrate. A person who has lived on Mars for 5 years and then tries to return to Earth's gravity may find it genuinely, physically debilitating. Some colonists may make the choice to stay permanently, not because they're trapped, but because Mars, for all its hostility, will have become their home. Because the alternative, the months of transit, the struggle to readapt, returning to a world that moved on without you, may seem like the harder option. The first humans to live on Mars may be the first humans for whom Mars is simply where they live. Not a mission, not an assignment, home. And here's the thing that matters about all of this. They will know exactly what they're giving up. They will not be uninformed. They will have read every study, run every simulation, thought through every implication, and they will go anyway. They will go because the alternative, a humanity confined to one planet, one world, one fragile egg in one vulnerable basket, feels like a worse risk than anything Mars can throw at them. The first people to live on Mars will not have the best lives in human history. They may have the hardest. They will trade comfort for meaning, safety for significance, the ease of a habitable world for the brutal privilege of being first. History will remember them, if it remembers anything. Because without them, without the ones willing to go when it's hard and dangerous and uncertain, there will never be a second planet that humans call home. And if something ever happens to the first one, that will matter more than any comfort any of them gave up. That is why they go. That is why, if you're honest with yourself, you understand it. Even if you never do it yourself.